tennis forehand, one of the basic shots in the tennis game, is also one of the hardest to master. So what makes it so hard? What actually goes on to hit that perfect tennis forehand? Understanding what happens when hitting the tennis forehand can be broken down into three categories. There's the agility, speed, and endurance, the force, and which bones and muscles are used. Take, for instance, the slow-mo video. You can take the force that's being used. As you see in a minute, my arm will move backwards using torque motion to move the racket backwards, twisting and creating the ball to project forwards. You can also see I'm moving my weight forwards, which also helps the ball go over the net. You can also see I pronate with my arm to help spin the ball and increase the likelihood of it going in. Now, as you can see, I'm placing a lot of strain on my body just to hit one very simple basic shot. This can cause a lot of injuries in many players, including me and my friends. As you can see, I place a lot of pressure on my metatarsals in my feet, which actually has led to me having 3 stress fractures in my feet, 2 in my right foot, 1 in my left foot. Also, my friend tore her ACL in her knee, and so she had to have surgery on that based on just sliding for the ball so much. Also, I've had friends tear rotator cuffs from serving and taking the racket so far back. Many of my friends have numerous sprained ankles. And also, a lot of my friends have lower back problems, which is primarily due to them not stretching out their hamstrings properly. This is very important for a tennis player to do because, as you can see, every time I go to hit a forehand, I get in the ready position. Now, the ready position uses the hamstrings and the quads, and so if you do not stretch them properly, you will get injured. Trust me, it is not fun at all when you wake up and you are so sore because you forgot to stretch the night before. When thinking of muscles that you use for the tennis forehand, you honestly think, oh, you only use your arms and you only use your legs. That's actually not true. You actually use your entire body to hit a tennis forehand. One of the key components to hitting a good tennis forehand is having a strong core. You have to have good rectus abdominal muscles, good obliques, strong to the core to harness your force and move it forwards to hit the ball. Torque motion, as you can see as I'm hitting in this forehand, use a lot of, and having strong core muscles is key to hitting a good, powerful shot. Of course, you obviously use muscles in your back when you're moving the ball, moving your arm backwards to hit the ball. Use your trapezius, you use your deltoids and your shoulders. You use all the muscles. And of course, you use muscles in your arms, like your biceps and your triceps, when moving the racket forwards. And also, you of course use your calves, hamstrings, and quads when doing the ready position in the forehand and movement in running around the court. And now onto your eye and your inner ear. Now, as you can obviously see, you need good hand-eye coordination to hit a good tennis forehand. But also, it's really hard to see when you're moving, so it's key that you try and look at the ball and see it make contact. That's what my coach used to tell me. He also used to tell me I can only see 1/3 of anything happening outside of my vision, and so that's why I always have to keep my eye on the ball, because if not, I will miss it, and I do, most likely. The inner ear is also really key to tennis because the inner ear controls balance. If you don't have balance, then you're just all over the court, you're not hitting well, and it's just not a good forehand at all. As any athlete knows, deep breathing and breathing well while exercising is a key component to being successful in any sport. That rings true for tennis as well. Now, a lot of people know that pro tennis players grunt, but honestly, the worst grunts I have seen have all come from juniors. What happens in tennis is you inhale as you draw your racket posterior to your body, and then you exhale as you make contact with the ball out in front of you. I don't know why it happens like this. This is just the way all of us are taught to breathe. Now, your heart rate is a sign that you're working hard, and your body is working hard when you're exercising. Now this is the case for me and many of my friends that also play tennis. We all have resting heart rates below 50 beats per minute, which is called brachycardia. Now, from wearing my Fitbit for a couple of months, I've been able to determine that my resting heartbeat is around 45 to 48 beats per minute. A lot of my other friends have it in the 50s, but mainly the high 40s, low 50s is the average for players playing about 8 hours a day 4 months out of the year. A lot of tennis players train for about 2 to 3 hours after school. Some, like my partner in this video, she trains 8 hours a day and does schoolwork for 4 hours a day. She's homeschooled. But training for a very long time is increasing the productivity of your heart, which slows your heart rate down. Now, endurance and speed also play a very vital role in tennis, which is why players train for 8 hours a day, which is what I do in the summer. Now, you use endurance because a tennis match usually lasts on average about an hour and 45 minutes, sometimes longer. But speed is vital to any tennis match. Tennis is just full of explosive movements forward, and you have to be able to think very quickly to draw your racket backwards to hit a forehand, to hit a backhand. This is Djokovic's forehand right here, and he is so quick. He is one of the quickest men on the tour, and that's why a lot of people, revere him, because his footwork and his agility and his speed is phenomenal for a tennis player. The longest tennis match recorded in history actually took place at Wimbledon a couple years ago. The tennis match, which was won by John Isner, took place over a series of days, where fierce competition made them play for hours and hours at times, and they were having to quickly sprint to the ball for all of these hours. In tennis, you don't get a halftime or a break. You get 2 minutes in between sets. You get a total of 10 seconds in between points to catch your breath. Endurance is important, and moving to the ball quickly is also important, because you can't get to the ball unless you have agility and speed. You can't move around the court successfully unless you have agility and speed, but you need the endurance to be able to withstand long tennis matches, which what separates good tennis players from great tennis players. Let's take Miss D's favorite pro tennis player, Roger Federer. He is said to have one of the best forehands on the pro tour. What is it that he does that makes his forehand so much better than the rest? Is it that he uses certain body parts more or less? Is it his force, his motion, his eyesight? What is it? Pause this video and discuss. The tennis forehand is a complex shot, and it's not easy, but hopefully some of the anatomy in this video has made it seem a little less crazy and superstitious and a little bit more realistic.